Hey guys, DJ here with Tim's Nation, and today we're going to do, well, a little painting tutorial. So this is the first time doing something like this on the channel, and I'm not going to say by any stretch of the imagination that I'm a professional painter, but all in all, I think my gray nights look pretty good. I've had a couple people ask different questions on certain things and how I've achieved certain things with them, and the big one for this video was how I achieved this kind of blue tone with their armor. And you can see with the librarian here, I have a lot heavier of a blue tone with him. And Crow has a lighter blue tone around some of the armor plates. More so you can kind of see it with the blending of the backpack where it's just a lighter hue to help make the silver not look as, I don't know, powerful, as heavy. And then you have one of the purifiers that also has a blue tone to it as well through the armor and everything like that. So just want to talk to you guys about how I achieve that. And by all means, please, if there's other things you see with laying in my armies, let us know in the comments section. We'd be happy to do tutorials on those different things and how we've achieved different stuff, as well as, you know, if there's people out there that might see some of the ways we're doing something and see a better way that we can know a better way that we could do it, or an easier way, let us know. Now, traditionally, I am more of a hand painter. I like to paint everything by hand. So all of this is done with brushes and done by hand, aside from just the priming effects. All right, so let's get into it. So first and foremost, and I'm going to use many models that I have on the shelf in stages of this because, well, much like many of us, we have times where we think we need something because of data sheets, and then suddenly a month goes by and, hey, that's not good anymore, and it ends up on the shelf. So the first thing, got to prime them. And I just prime my models black. I like to start there. I'll take the black, prime these guys, and then I will go back in with the brush and a very, very watered down black. I use a lot of water with my paints, and we'll talk about that with the different colors. But I use a watered down black just to cover it. Usually the primer will stick to like parts underneath, like underneath the shoulder and stuff like that. And we'll need to get in there, like little parts back here and that, and it'll still be a little gray. So just by using a wet watered down black paint, I'm able to just wash it in there, and it usually gets all those spots covered. Once I do that, once we have the model fully primed, next is my base coat. So the base coat for that, I just use, really honestly, just a very basic gray. The Storm Cloud gray, I got it from local craft store. Nothing crazy there, but I put a lot of water in it so that it is almost just like milk. Like it's very, 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 very thin paint. Like I would say, if you had to go a mixture, I'd say 6 parts water, 3 parts paint, like 3 dabs of paint. That's usually how I do it. Like I'll put in like 3 brushes worth of paint to 6 drops of water, roughly, and mix it up real well. And then take that and soak the entire model. You can see here how much of the model is just like, there's like these little gray spots here where the gray is a little bit lighter, and then across it, it's a little bit thinner and darker because of how much of it's just washed over it. And I just cover the whole thing. And you see how it's got kind of this chalky effect? That's what I'm going for. I want that chalky effect to this model so that when I hit it with the silver sticks and can really cover it and really coat it nicely. Oop, let's get that camera back in focus. So yeah, I'm looking for that chalky effect. Now, once I have those, I usually let them sit overnight, just so that I know they're fully dried before I move on to the next step. And for that, it's dry brushing silver. Now, this is one, I'm going a little bit further with it. I started cleaning stuff up to go with other colors, but we're just going to focus on the armor here. So now with this is actually all a dry brush. So I don't have an example of it here, but I'll tell you this. Whenever I just paint directly silver and just cover the thing in silver, it always looks too powerful and too fake. So instead, what I'll do is I'll just do a dry brush over it. I think you can see like right here where you can see some of the gray is coming through with it. See if I can pick up another spot on this guy. Not really seeing any good strong spots where that silver and trying to focus too. One of the things that's tough about these modeling tutorials is always getting them up there. You can see a little bit right here on the leg plate, a little bit where the way the light hits it, right in here, where you can see some of the gray is coming through, and a little bit over here. And that's a good spot right here, right on the faceplate. You can see that gray coming through and the silver on that. And it really helps so it doesn't make the silver too overpowering. Now, I do recommend when you do a dry brush of these models, I always use a flat brush. This way, when you're going across the model and you're just trying to dust it with the gray, the very, very thin coat of gray, you're not leaving streaks on flat pieces of armor like here and here. You're not leaving any of those streaks onto it, and it's just a very, very smooth coating. And then once I get that done, I go through, I clean it up. I do the weapons, and I do literally everything on the model first to completely get it to a point where it's finished. I do the reds, I do all that stuff. And if you want to see how I do some of that stuff, we can cover that in another tutorial. And then I take this. This is my love for these guys right here. I'm not going to pronounce it. Drakenhof Nightshade. This is a shade. This is a heavily watered down mix. And I'll tell you, I still use water with it. I still dip my brush into this, and then I dip it into water, and then about halfway, I dip the brush fully into the pot, and then I will dip it halfway into water, not moving it around, nothing else. Bring it back out, lightly put it on the side of my palette just to clean it up a bit, and then just start dabbing the model, covering, just soaking the model. Now, the one thing is, and it can get kind of scary with it, I'm going to show you real quick here. It can seem kind of scary because you'll see so much paint on the model that you're worried. So, like I said, we're going to just dip this in here. And there we go. And then we have our brush is fully coated. And then I have my water off camera. Sorry, guys, I just fill up a little palette with the water. And then we're going to dip this in here. I'll move this over here so you guys can see. I'm going to go right over here. So we're just going to dip that in. And I'm going to take it over here and just kind of dab some of it off. And I'm going to use that paint too. So that's not even going to go to waste. But then we'll take this guy who's got the silver on him already. Not going to hurt much anything. We're going to take him, and I'm just going to take this. I'm just going to start putting it all on him. You see, I'm not really like even painting it. I'm just applying the silver to it, or the blue to it. Then I'll go back, and I'm going to get that watered down that I left to the side. I'm going to do that again. And I'm just going to go over the whole thing. Now, this is where you can control how heavy you want it to look, because it's going to be scary at first. And I was always worried and scared when I did this. I'm like, oh my gosh, it's so much, it's so heavy. These shades dry so much lighter than you expect. So we do this, we go in through there, and we're just going to do this whole little part of the model real quick. Now, if you don't like it, and you're like, okay, I feel like it's still a little too heavy, it's still a little too strong, take a bit of water. Just take the water and just dab, 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 and get these parts nice and wet. Then dry off your brush real good. And then just touch just that spot. And you can see right here, when I touch it, it starts to soak it up. See, look at that. Soaked all that up real fast. And we'll just dry that off. Go back here, soak all that up. But we still have those cracks and crevices, which are picking up the paint. And then when this guy dries, that's when we start to get the blue effect. We'll leave him right here. So what you see is, so Crow was one of the first ones. He has a lot more water base to him. So that's why the blue is so much lighter with him. And it's kind of just a mild hue. You can see more of it over the bolter. And on camera, when we're playing our games, you can see that he's got that blue to him. But right now, you don't see very much of it. It's very, very light, very faint. You can see some on that back piece over his head, a little bit on the shoulder, a little bit like in comparison to the blade, you can see it on the back of the left leg. You can see that little faint blue. Then you have the purifier, which has a lot more. And we're actually, what we'll do is, sorry for that sound, we're going to turn the fan on for a second, and we're going to put our Terminator in my fan for a minute to dry it up so you can see kind of what I'm talking about. Now this guy, you can see a lot more. Like if you really look, now guys, I'm going to hold him still for a second, but look at the nose piece on the purifier, like the nose, the front of the helm of the purifier. You can see that blue coming through. And as I turn him, you can start to see how everything just has like a blue aura to it from the blue that I put onto it, giving it that kind of psychic effect. You can really see it on the back piece here and on the legs as well. And these guys will have that, and it pops really well. Ooh, that angle you can see it much more. But this is a nice little effect for these guys, because depending on how the light hits them, that's where the blue shines even more and gives them that psychic effect. Now my librarian, him being a psyker, I hit with a lot heavier of a blue. Plus also he's got all these runes on him, which soak up a lot more of it, so it makes it pop a lot more. You can see it definitely here, up here on the shoulder, where that blue really hits. And you can see that where he still looks silver, but he's got that metallic blue feel to him, especially being one of the more powerful psychers in an all-psycher army. You know, and then I let it go onto the little seals as well. They have a bit of blue on them just to tie it together. And yes, I do go over everything. So I even go over the axe too and all that stuff, just so that everything can kind of blend in nicely. So, all right, let's take a look at our Terminator here real quick. We've had him sitting in the fan for a minute, and we'll turn off the fan for noise. And let's see what we got here. So now we bring this guy back. So you see there's a bit of the blue here, you can really see. But that was all that soaked on blue is just all drying up, and it's just giving that light effect. Yeah, we still got some here in the back that's still puddling, but mostly with the shoulder, all that blue dried. And now we have that nice blue effect, which you can really see more in contrast with the silver. And you can see how it makes it look more battle ready, makes it look like this guy's been in a fight and he's used psychic powers during that fight, or he's just radiating psychic energy. Either way, you can see a lot. So here with the knuckles, let's get that back in focus. Like you see the knuckle really there, and that really shows how much of a difference that blue really does make over the course of the model in comparison with, like, let's grab the purifier. You can see next to the purifier, you can really see the difference now when you put it next to just the silver. See if Crow does as well. Oh yeah, you can see it, like looking at those two. Look at those two legs. Look at them legs. But you can see where that blue comes out much more, and then the chest piece too. You can see where the blue kind of makes the silver less dominant, so it looks less obnoxious to the eyes. At least how I feel. But a big part of it is just not being afraid to just throw that blue on there. To just throw that blue on there, really soak the model in a heavy amount of it, and see how it looks. See how you like it. You know, worst case is, but when you thin down the paints, you can see a lot here with the back pieces and that. When you really thin down the paints, you don't have to worry so much if you need to go back over it with a silver dry brush, you know. And as well, even if you do this really heavy, you can always hit with a light silver dry brush afterwards, like the edge highlights and stuff like that. Something I've did here with Crow in a couple of places. You can just hit some of the edges and hit it with a little edge highlight just to help bring some of those corners back out if you're not happy with how deep it goes into it. So you can always hit it with a little bit of an edge highlight of just silver just to help bring those pieces back to it. All right, guys, well, that's basically it. If you want to know more about some of the stuff that I paint or some of the stuff Lane paints, please leave a comment, let us know, and we can go over some of that stuff. As always, thanks for watching, and I'll talk to you again soon.